You know, when you look up into the night sky, what do you see? That familiar, friendly face, right? Our moon. It's been our constant companion forever, shaping our tides, our calendars, even our dreams. But what if it wasn't so familiar? What if we could just swap it out for another moon? Well, that would change everything. Not just our night sky, but our entire idea of what a world can even be. So let's go on a little journey and see what we find.
So when I say the word moon, what pops into your head? I bet it's something a lot like our own. You know, gray, covered in craters, totally silent, and pretty much geologically dead. It's beautiful for sure, but it's really just a quiet piece of rock hanging up there. And for the longest time, that's what we thought all moons were like. Just these ancient, peaceful leftovers from when the solar system was born.
Yeah, it turns out that's just one answer. Because if you travel way out to the gas giant Jupiter, you'll find 4 completely different answers orbiting it. And these 4 worlds, they don't just challenge our idea of what a moon is, they absolutely shatter it.
We're talking about the Galilean moons. Yep, named after Galileo, who spotted them way back in 1610 and basically changed our entire view of the universe. Now, the best way to think about them is like 4 siblings. They were all born from the exact same stuff, that big swirl of gas and dust that created Jupiter. But, as we're about to find out, this is one very strange family. Each sibling has a personality that was forged under totally, radically different pressures.
Okay, so at first glance, this just looks like a boring table of numbers, right? But trust me, hidden in here are the very first clues to a huge mystery. First, just look at the size. Ganymede is enormous. It's actually bigger than the planet Mercury. Now, let's look at density. That's just a fancy way of saying how much stuff is packed into the same amount of space. Our moon? It's pretty dense, solid rock. But look at Callisto and Ganymede. They're way lighter. That's a dead giveaway that they're mostly ice. And then you have Europa and Io, which are heavy and rocky, kind of like our moon. See? These simple numbers are the first little breadcrumbs hinting that these 4 siblings are not all built the same way at all.
All right, let's start our tour on the outskirts of Jupiter's neighborhood with the 2 biggest siblings, Callisto and Ganymede. Now they're both these huge, icy giants. They were born from the same stuff in basically the same place. But wow, they could not be more different.
So this is Callisto. It's the furthest out of the 4. And honestly, it looks exactly like what you'd expect a moon to be. Its surface is one of the oldest and most battered in the entire solar system. I mean, think of it like a quiet, frozen museum. It's a perfect record of billions of years of getting pummeled by asteroids and comets. It's essentially a dead world, just perfectly preserved in ice.
Okay, now let's take just one step closer to Jupiter. And we get to Ganymede. And the difference is, whoa, it's immediate. The very first thing that hits you is just the staggering scale of this thing. We're talking 5,270 kilometers across. This isn't just Jupiter's biggest moon, it is the biggest moon in the entire solar system. Get this, it's actually bigger than the planet Mercury.
And here's where the mystery really gets deep. Callisto, its neighbor, is basically a giant frozen slushy, just a jumbled up mix of rock and ice. But Ganymede, no way. It's structured like a planet. It's got distinct layers, a core, a mantle, a crust, just like Earth does. But the biggest shocker of all, Ganymede has its own magnetic field. And that's the smoking gun. It's a telltale sign that deep down inside, something is alive and churning.
So here's the key takeaway. A magnetic field basically screams that you have a partially molten, churning interior. So unlike its quiet sibling Callisto, Ganymede is alive. It's got a whole history of tectonics. Its crust has been cracking and shifting and groaning for ages. Which brings us to the big question, why? Why is one moon dead and its next-door neighbor so incredibly dynamic? Just hold that thought. We'll get there.
Okay, we're going to keep moving inward, getting closer and closer to Jupiter. And as we do, the planet's influence gets way more intense, and the worlds just get weirder. Next up, Europa and Io. These 2 are going to push our definition of moon right to the absolute limit.
Welcome to Europa. Now on the outside, it's this bright, cracked shell of water ice with all these mysterious reddish-brown lines crisscrossing it. But underneath that icy shell, scientists are almost positive there's a colossal, globe-spanning ocean of liquid salt water. We're talking an ocean that could have more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. Yeah, this place, right here, is one of the top spots in the whole solar system where we might find life. A moon with a hidden ocean.
So we go from this world, with the tantalizing potential for life, to the innermost Galilean moon Io. And you need to prepare for a shock, because this world is the absolute polar opposite of the quiet, icy places we've just seen. This is a world of pure chaos.
Io is, and I'm not exaggerating here, a planetary inferno. It has over 100 known active volcanoes all over its surface, and they are constantly erupting, shooting these huge plumes of sulfur and lava hundreds of kilometers straight up into space. This place isn't just a little active. It is by far the single most volcanically active body in our entire solar system.
And you can just imagine the shock scientists felt when they first got a good look at this place. I mean, they were expecting another dead, cratered moon, just like ours. Instead, they found a world that makes Earth's volcanoes look like a walk in the park. Its entire surface is constantly being repaved with fresh lava, which means any impact craters get erased almost as soon as they're made.
So let's recap. We've got an ancient ice ball, a geologically active giant, a hidden ocean world, and a volcanic hellscape. 4 siblings born at the same time, but they're completely alien to each other. So how is that even possible? Well, the answer isn't in the moons themselves. It's in the immense, incredible power of their parent planet, Jupiter.
Right. This is the big question we've been building up to. How can this be? They all formed in the same neighborhood, out of the same raw materials. The answer isn't about what they are made of, it's about what's being done to them. It's about a force so powerful it can melt solid rock and keep an entire ocean liquid, millions and millions of miles away from the sun.
And the answer has a name: tidal heating. Okay, imagine you take a paper clip and you just bend it back and forth, over and over and over again. What happens? It gets hot, right? That's just friction. Now scale that way, way up. Imagine Jupiter's colossal gravity doing the exact same thing to its moons, constantly squeezing and stretching them as they orbit. That constant gravitational flexing generates a ton of heat from friction deep down in their cores. And just like that, with that one simple idea, the entire puzzle just snaps into place. It all makes sense. Callisto is too far away. Jupiter's gravitational tug is just too weak out there to generate much heat, so it stays frozen solid, a dead world. Ganymede is a bit closer, so it gets just enough tidal heating to keep its core churning and drive all that geology. Europa, it's even closer, getting that Goldilocks amount of heat, just perfect for maintaining that incredible liquid ocean under the ice. And then there's Io. Being the closest, it gets an absolutely extreme dose. It's being squeezed so violently that its insides are basically always molten, which is what fuels that non-stop, insane volcanism.
So, there it is. The family portrait is complete. 4 siblings, all born from the same cloud of dust, but each one forged into a completely different world by the relentless gravity of their parent. You know, we started this journey by asking a simple question: what does a moon look like? We expected a simple, quiet rock, but what did we find instead? An ancient relic, a geologic king, a hidden ocean, and a fiery inferno. It just goes to show you that the universe is so much more creative and so much more violent than we ever imagined. And it leaves you with this one final thought. If all of this incredible diversity can exist right here in our own cosmic backyard, what other impossible worlds are out there, circling the billions of other stars, just waiting in the darkness for us to find them?